Coming from the register, oh, the AI revolution is just getting stupider. The crap I would not have even thought of. Microsoft warns customers AI will mean busier patch Tuesdays. More patches mean more reasons to buy Redmond's auto patching tools. So patch management is a big thing in the technology world. Basically, one of the big problems that we have in the real world of cybersecurity is that vendors basically create patches in order to close vulnerabilities, right? Vulnerabilities from viruses, vulnerabilities from hackers, the whole nine yards. And one of the things you'll see many times is that some company will get attacked, all of their systems will get compromised, and then people will be up in arms. Why didn't the vendor do something about this? And then what you find out is, well, the vendor actually did do something about it. They came up with a patch like years ago, like literally I've seen this before, years ago, and nobody bothered to install the damn patch on the systems. That is why the attack was able to take place, right? And so when we're talking about patch management, this is simply the updates, right? The updates that you deal with all of the computers and devices that you normally have in the modern world. This becomes even more important though in the corporate environment where you have all these computers connected together, and especially if a bot can get onto a computer, a virus can get onto a computer, it can have a much more devastating effect because it is able to more easily connect to all of the other systems on the network. So what we talk about with patch management is yeah, basically, simply the process of updating all of these different systems. Now, back in the day, like when I had my company, there's something called WSUS, Windows Server Update Service. I gotta say, fabulous product. At least back then, no idea what it looks like now. It might be garbage now. I don't know. But anyways, the great part about that is you could set up this server service on one of your servers. Essentially, what would happen is all of the Microsoft updates would get pulled into that one server, and they will get distributed out to your network devices from that one particular server. So especially when you're downloading like Microsoft Service Pack, which are just a beast, right? If you have a 4 gig service pack file, if you've got 1,000 Windows computers on your network and each one has to download a 4 gig file from Microsoft, that's a lot of bandwidth being consumed, basically for no practical reason. With Windows Server Update Service, what would happen is that one 4 gig file would be downloaded to your server, your on-prem server, and then from there would get distributed out to all of your Windows devices. One of the big issues, though, with WSUS back in the day is that it would update Microsoft products, not necessarily the other products, right? So Office would be updated, Outlook would be updated, Internet Explorer would be updated, all this kind of stuff would be updated. The Microsoft stuff was. The issue was your QuickBooks, your Adobe back in the day, all of that kind of stuff. That was an entirely different issue, and then you have to go through a whole process for dealing with that. The other thing to be thinking about when you start talking about things like patch management is the issue is every time you touch a computer, you own it. You own it. You touch it, you own it. You broke our server. Look, all I did is I walked in the server room, I looked at that server, and then I walked out of the server room. Yeah, well, look at what happened because you looked at the server. No, that's not how this shit works. I don't think. Maybe. God does have a nasty sense of humor, so maybe it does work that way sometimes, right? One of the important things you have to understand is every time you touch something, you own it. So one of the issues you also deal with patch management is that as soon as you install anything onto a system, you might run into problems. Not just with the patches themselves. So remember, like Microsoft puts out this product, and one of the things you have to think about is a patch is a Microsoft product too. So just like, Windows is buggy as hell, guess what? Many of their patches are buggy as hell too. So one of the problems that you run into is sometimes you can install a patch that causes more problems, right? It fixes whatever they were trying to fix and breaks something that's vital to your enterprise. So one of the things is many times you have to like slowly roll out. There's a rollout scheme of patches that most corporations have. So the patches go to, let's say, your lab environment or something very close to a lab environment. Goes to there. Does it break anybody's systems there? No, doesn't break the lab systems. Great. Then it goes out maybe to your tech employees, since they're high skill employees. They get their systems updated. Did it break anything there? No. Then it goes to your low value systems. The systems that if they go, if they crash, you can deal with it, and then it goes higher and higher value, right? So there's this whole process that you have to go through with patches, because remember, you touch it, you own it, and everybody will want your head. The other issue that you got to deal with with patch management is sometimes you just run into problems that aren't actually Microsoft's fault. I mean, blame Microsoft as much as you want, but sometimes they're not responsible for everything. Like I've seen this before with systems where they're trucking along fine, right? You look at a server, fucking uptime for days. This thing has been running for months and months and months and months and months, and because it's been running for months and months and months and has not gotten rebooted, nobody knows that there's a hardware fail in the hard drive, right? Once a system boots up, it went into its routine. And now it's doing whatever it's doing because most of the stuff is actually in RAM anyway, actually in memory anyway, so it's not really hitting the hard drive too much. Here's the thing. You install a service pack, you got to go through a forced reboot cycle. You go through the forced reboot cycle, and hey, guess what? Your hard drive has a problem. Your system will not boot anymore, right? And like that's the kind of thing. It is a patch management is a goddamn nightmare. So anyways, what I think is interesting right now, though, is with this whole artificial intelligence revolution, especially with Mythos 5, Mythos 5 out there, and other products that are coming out on the line, is that these LLMs, these models, are finding more and more vulnerabilities in software that has been around for a long time. Not only that, but it's just generally finding vulnerabilities in software, and so the rate of patches that are going to have to get deployed is going to have to become faster and faster and faster and faster. And the other big issue here too is, since a lot of this is being discovered with artificial intelligence, the speed from finding a vulnerability to vulnerability in the wild is going to get a lot faster, right? If you have to have smart people, right? This is one of the things I talk about with hackers. I am not snarky about hackers. Look, if you're a real hacker, you are smart. Here's the thing. Most hackers aren't actually that smart. Most hackers are what we call script kiddies. Essentially what happens is they grab like off-the-shelf exploits, what's called exploits, and they use those against systems. And so basically what has to happen is you have a real hacker that finds a real vulnerability. They then play with the vulnerability, figure out how the vulnerability works, and then they package it up into this thing called like an exploit, essentially an executable or whatever that can attack systems. And then they got to kind of market the exploit. They got to tell the world that the exploit exists, blah, 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 blah. And that takes time. Like, again, business takes time. The business of being an actual hacker, at the end of the day, it takes time. It's as tedious as any other business out there, right? From the time you get the idea to the time that little script kiddies are out there just blasting the hell out of the corporate world, there's a time span there. One of the concerns you have to be thinking about with artificial intelligence right now is we are closing that gap really quickly. Right? Because like one of the things you have to think about, like if you're a script kiddie, you actually have to get the executable. You have to get the exploit. Like, and where is it? Right? Is it on a BitTorrent site? Is it on the dark web? Like, there's all this stuff you have to go through. One of the interesting things you start thinking about Mythos 5, or again, stuff coming out of China or whatever else, is what's curious now with artificial intelligence and these vulnerabilities is you can find out what the vulnerability is. So you can simply be on Twitter and somebody can say, I found a vulnerability against this service in Windows that attacks this port or whatever. You can take that, dump it into a model and say, give me exploit. Fucker can give you an exploit. So think about that. Accelerating the time from vulnerability detection to actually being able to execute in the wild. And you got to think about this. So Microsoft and all these other companies are going to start deploying their patches. Oh God, your life is about to get miserable. Eli, if you're so smart, why are you in your basement screaming into a camera? Why aren't you in a server room? Are you starting to understand? Are you starting to grasp why I enjoy my little basement? Anyways, we take a look at this. There's not much to this particular article. Microsoft has warned customers to expect more security patches for the foreseeable future thanks to AI. Quote, as AI helps defenders discover more issues, customers will see a higher volume of security updates included in each security release, the company's executive, Veep, for Windows and devices, wrote in a Thursday post that describes how Microsoft is changing its internal processes to spot software vulnerabilities using AI. His post later points out that Microsoft offers many many fine tools to automate patching, and his view that customers who use them will be able to keep pace with increased volumes of patches. And then it just goes through this, basically advertises, Microsoft's product. But I think this is one of the things they have to be thinking about. Like if you're actually a systems administrator, if you're actually a technology professional right now, then we think about patch management. And patch management, to be clear, patch management should have been solved 15 years ago. If patch management is a new concept to you, oh lordy, that is not a good thing, right? Anyways, I remember patch management came out. I remember when WSUS came out. I remember a whole bunch of different patch management products came out. Right? Everybody was getting online, broadband was bigger, small business networks were becoming more of a deal. And again, the whole question of being able to update all of this software. I think what is interesting though is at this point, it should be legacy. To be clear, your patch management system at this point should be so old and so stable, most people probably haven't thought about it in the past 5 years because there's been more important things to deal with. What is interesting with this whole artificial intelligence idiocy is this might be the time to go back and start looking at your patch management systems and actually make sure your policies and your plans that are in place for patch management are actually appropriate for 2026. Again, with the whole idea of how quickly do you roll out patches. So like with some corporations, patches come out and they might wait a month. And look, and that was reasonable, right? If you've got your onions, you got your multiple layers of security, you got your firewall, you've got good Active Directory and security policies, you got a whole bunch of different stuff. Sometimes a lot of corporations would wait a month just to verify the patches don't make something go boom. Because the reality is, many times patches make things go boom, right? And so that's been reasonable. That has been a reasonable thing to do for the past 15 years. With the pace of artificial intelligence accelerating the ability to exploit vectors, attack vectors or whatever against your systems, waiting a month may no longer be viable. And there's a lot of stuff like this that I think folks have really got to start thinking about in this accelerated world that we're in. So what do you think about this? What do you think about patch management in the age of artificial intelligence? Yeah. Are you as excited about patch management as I am? Are you sitting there going, huh, so Eli's talking about Eli's in a basement screaming into a camera? Yeah, that sounds kind of nice. I think I would rather do that than rethink our patch management scheme for my corporation. I think Eli has a good idea there. Is that how you're feeling right now? Is your patch management up to snuff? One of the things I found hilarious, right? Five Eyes. I did this. I talked about this article coming out of the Five Eyes. So Five Eyes is the security collaboration group or whatever between the U.S., Great Britain, New Zealand, Canada, and Australia. Anyways, they came out with this whole like paper or whatever about securing your systems in the age of artificial intelligence. And the thing that I laughed my ass off about it is literally they were talking about patch management. Well, you really should, your patches should be up to date. And you're like, oh my God. Welp, this is what my tax money is paying for cybersecurity. In 2026, Five Eyes is saying, hey, you should update your patches. Here's the interesting question, though. How many of you work in environments that do not have a robust patch management scheme in 2026? Oh, Lordy, I am betting quite a few of you work in those environments. Anywho, put your thoughts down in the comment section. If you like these episodes, do remember they are on Spotify and on Apple Podcast. Link is down below. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.